friends, Miss Apuli here. Today we're making mud bugs, and basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing, and then we're going to be making a mud mix that we then can paint to our paper. So the first thing you need to do is get your supplies together. So what I have in front of me is I have some school washable glue, a little bit of water, and I have dug up some mud. Now mine is already wet a little bit in the ground, but yours isn't, maybe not, so you might have more of a soil mix, but either way it's gonna work, so I'll show you how to do that. But before we get to the mud mix, the first thing I'm going to show you is what you need to have on your paper first. I have a larger paper. If you have a smaller paper, that's fine. But before I even came out to make my mud mix, the first thing I did was I drew in some grass, and then I selected either a bug or an insect to place on there. Now in this circumstance I've selected a dragonfly, so I want to inspire you, whether you picked an insect or a bug, that you learn one fun fact about it. So first off, a dragonfly is an insect rather than a bug, and the reason is because it has a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. Okay? And I also learned one interesting or cool thing about a dragonfly is that they have two compound eyes, meaning it's made up of thousands of other little tiny eyes on the inside, and they can almost see a complete 360 degrees around them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Fun fact for the dragonfly. So I just went in and colored it with crayons. Whatever supplies you have available to color yours, that will work fine. But when I drew my grass and my bug or my insect, I left a little space at the bottom for the mud. Now I'm going to put my mud mix down there, and I might even put a little bit on my bug, but it's completely up to you where you want to paint in with your mud mix, and it's going to dry and leave a pretty cool texture on your image as well. So I'm going to put this down, and I'm also going to hold up an example of one of my other mud bugs I made previously. So I have two other examples. I have one with a lightning bug. I try to give it kind of like a night effect. And then I also have a little more of a simple one, depending on the age group, where I have some ladybugs in there. So for my example today that I showed you, my dragonfly, I'm now going to show you my mud mix and how you would create that, and then I'm going to show you where I'm going to paint with it onto my paper. So as I mentioned, I literally went and got some mud in my backyard right where I am right now. It's already kind of wet. If yours is dry, it's fine. But what you need is a little bit of water and your school glue, and then an old paintbrush that you don't mind getting a little dirty. So what you do is, there's no specific measurement as far as how much you put in here, but if you don't already kind of have more of a mud mix, you want to add just a little bit of water. Now I'm not going to really add hardly any to mine, just because mine's already kind of more muddy and has a wet consistency. So besides that, the next thing you want to add is some of that school glue, that washable school glue, and this is what's going to make it sticky to the surface so that it will dry there. Once again, there's no specific measurement, but you don't want your mix too runny and you don't want it too thick. You want kind of a good in between. And I can bring it up a little closer so you can see it is gross. It's supposed to be fun, and it's like you're playing in the mud, so don't get worried about that. But you can probably see mine. The kindergartners love this part. But once I have this mix and I have a good consistency, obviously I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to paint it onto the bottom of my paper, and maybe a little bit on my dragonfly. Where you put it is up to you. So I'm going to take it, and I'm literally painting it onto my paper. And if you can't see, it's okay. I'm going to hold it up for you in just a second. And I also will take a picture and put it with the poster in the comments. When you're doing this, it's kind of interesting. You can see kind of clumps of the dirt, the mud. There's little strings of grass and other things on the inside. It's part of the fun. It's just part of it. Hopefully you don't have any little bugs or insects in there now, huh? It's also a nice thing to do outside just because it can get pretty messy with the mud mix. Alright, I'm going to hold this up to show you guys and see what it looks like. Alright, here we go. Now, like I said, I could go in and I could add some more directly onto my bug, or wherever I prefer. I could put some more in my grass, but it's a little fun part, a little something extra to add to your image, and it's a little fun to mix together the mud.